What is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat What is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. Couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
Hello, good rising everyone, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to the Anti-Religious Scriptures Study with Karen B. and Just Jack. This is episode 11 at 11:11.
Very interesting.
Thanks for being here.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes. All right. Today, we have a couple of chapters prepared to go through. So do you want to do your disclaimer? We got to do your disclaimer first.
Of course. If nothing else, to send people spiraling. Like, why do you keep doing the disclaimer?
Yeah, because every time we get somebody spiraling about something, every time we do this show, so.
Exactly. All right, so, Just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about the scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and you want to dig in and discover more, this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words as well as context from a non-religion perspective, as well as life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religion's contradictions to scriptures. All right.
There you go. Thank you.
No problem.
That's, the last part, we are not here to argue theologies or any of that other stuff is so important. I get comments on there and they're saying, you're doing this and you're being dishonest and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you don't like it, just don't watch it.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear it. I really just don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, people already have their preconceived ideas about what they're about to hear. So when they hear something different, it causes that problem. It's the same thing of getting into flat earth or any other discussion of information that you haven't looked at from a different person's perspective. And instead of spiraling about the information that you're getting, just take it. If it resonates with you, then apply it. If it doesn't, then just let it go. This is not a place, I'm not here to try to convince you that, what I'm saying is true, or that even that what the Bible is saying is true. That's for you to decide, right? I'm not trying to push my theology or my doctrine or anything else like that. We're specifically looking at what the scripture says for what it says. And the reason being is because traditions, when they're doing translations, they have bias. And so when you look at something in English and then you go back to the Hebrew, you can see there's a slight variation to it that can miss the point. I mean, for instance, right now we're looking at this one, the first verse, it says angels in KJV and by extension the Hebrew Interlinear, but it's messengers, the base meaning is messenger. But they have to put their preconceived idea that any messenger is an angel. It's a half deity. It's hard to explain, like a demigod, right? It's kind of like a demigod type of thing. Where in this perspective, it calls them men on multiple occasions. So they came in the form of a man. They didn't appear as giants. They didn't appear as winged creatures, and definitely not as the Greek interpretation where they show naked babies with wings, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying though. Those guys are creepy, man. They're creepy with their nakedness, and their babies and stuff. So.
All right. Okay, so.
And this time, just to let people know what they're looking at on the screen, I have created a adjusted Hebrew Study Bible to where when the titles come up, such as Elohim or the name of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, I actually put Elohim and Yehovah rather than the previous translated God, because God is prosperity deity of Babylon and his name is not Lord. So what I did is I just went through the entire Torah, and everywhere where those terms appeared, I changed it. And sometimes it causes complications because they'll change Elohim into Lord, which is very strange. But I had to go systematically through and fix these problems.
Awesome.
But now I also fixed it for Karen so that she can read right to left, which makes it a little simpler for her.
Yeah, that gets hard going back and forth. That's not easy.
Also, I kept it together. So it's got the Hebrew, then it's got the Strong's numbers, then it's got the pronunciation, then it's got the English.
I love this because now I don't have to switch between versions to click on numbers and bring up the definition.
Correct. That's another thing I did, is that the HSBR Torah can be appeared in the parallel where the HSB could not. So, yeah, now we can look at both versions, and we can easily find the English words and then go to the left and find the Hebrew. It's right there.
Yes, awesome. All right, so we are at Genesis 19. We just came from Genesis 18. Let's just do a quick recap of what happened in the last chapter. This is...
Do you really want to go there?
No, wait, I forget. Yeah, I do, because I kind of forget what happened in the last chapter. I need to be refreshed a little bit. Please let your water...
No worries.
This is where he's... Okay, let me see if I can remember. This is where the Lord is telling Abraham that...
Not the Lord.
Or a messenger, the Lord's messenger, right?
Yeah,
some
or the
messenger
Creator himself, right? Because the Lord is the replacement for the Creator. So even if you say Creator or Almighty or something like that.
Right. Okay, so the messenger of Yehovah comes and tells Abraham that him and Sarah are going to have a baby, even though they're really old.
Yep. And what was Sarah's response?
She was like, she was wondering if she was going to have pleasure at her age, right?
That's right, yep. Which is a valid question. Like, I'm an old lady, and I'm gonna have pleasure at my age.
Yeah. And then what happened? I think that was it. They didn't have the baby yet.
Well,
right?
The next thing is right there.
And then they're talking about Sodom.
Yep.
And how there's Sodom and then there's all this. Basically, everybody in that city is doing gnarly stuff. They're all horrible, nasty people sinning in the city, and then Yehovah wants to destroy it, and Abraham's like, well, wait, what if there's a couple of good people in there? Or what does he say? What if there's like 50 good people?
What if there's 50? What if there's 5 less than that? What if there's
so he's
45?
bartering.
Well, maybe 30. Maybe there's...
That's right. That's so funny. The Bible's funny sometimes, I have to say. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. If you get into it, like when I'll give you an example. Like when I was in church, I heard about David, right? Mm-hmm. And almost everybody, even if they haven't gone to church, has heard that David was the guy who fought Goliath and won. Right? Mm-hmm. And then he became a king. That's all we know about him, right? And they tell us stories about David being a child, when if you read it in its context, there's no way he's a child. He's a big dude, right? And then when you read his exploits between fighting Goliath up until becoming a king, dude, it is an epic story. It's an epic history that, like, you'll be on the edge of your seat while you're reading through it. It's awesome.
Robert Owen says Elohim is plural. Yes. Elohim is plural. El would be the singular, right?
Correct. Yes. And it means a strong lead. So Elohim can be, the way that this is just Jack now. Just to be clear, this is not, specific.
Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say when we were talking about we're just doing the scriptures, just straight translation. If we do interject with our own opinion, we do give a disclaimer when we're doing it.
Correct. And that's
so we're not trying to propagandize you with our dogma. Okay.
Yeah. It also I also told you in the disclaimer, our own personal experience, right? So I always tell you ahead of time, look, this is my perspective on the word Elohim. I think it's a collective that is Yehovah. So ergo, like, now I'm fast forwarding to like future verses and stuff like that, where it says that we become one with Elohim, right? So that means you connect with Elohim, therefore you are Elohim, and so you're part of that collective. It's not a problem for me. Like, some people have a hard time processing that information, like they don't even see how that's possible. But we've been told for so long that we're, insignificant. We need a man above us, right? We need a spiritual father, or we need government, or we need an educator, or whatever else, rather than telling us that, we are, connected to the Creator. We should be manifesting His will, including creation itself, as co-creators. Mm-hmm. And some people don't like that idea. Like, I don't know if they think like it's too much of a responsibility, or they're just trying to humble themselves and say, oh, I can't be part of that. But the fact of the matter is that if you read through Scripture, the Creator is constantly saying, connect with me and be an example to the rest of the world. So the rest of the world looks at you guys and they're like, whoa, whatever you have, I want that. Right? So it's not going to be just people that are going through religious motions. That's not going to compel anyone to come to the Creator. But if you're walking in His power, if you're manifesting His will, there might be something there. Right? That's why people left Egypt, because they saw the Creator's power and the favor on a specific group of people. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead.
All right.
But yeah, the Elohim thing, if you go back to the very first episode, we talk about this.
Yes.
In detail.
The first episode has a lot of good nuggets in there, actually. I've already sent people little timestamps from the first one when they ask me questions. I'm like, episode 1. So if you're just getting here and you want to go get caught up, episode 1 is probably, you really got to start there.
It'll give you a good precursor to see how things change in the way that I dig in and go to the original Hebrew and the original root words. And that's what Hebrew is based on, is root words. So you have to see what words actually mean. It's not like Globers who say words don't really mean things, right? Because then they can twist it to mean whatever they want.
Or that's what they do. They change the definition.
Exactly.
All right. So Genesis 19, shall we begin?
Sure.
All right.
Let's go.
And the 2 messengers came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Okay, so go down to the notes that I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you see on the far left, gate/reason. So the gate is where the elders or the older men of the city would come together and reason with one another, right? So they would discuss, city life, family life, whatever.
Is this it's like the biblical version of the water cooler?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Very good. And then the other thing is that it's not actually his face to the ground. It's more descriptive than that. If you go down to the bottom line there, it's his nose to the ground.
Oh, nostril.
So he's like face down.
So he's like on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something told him, like, it probably, this is my perspective now. My opinion is that when these beings of Yah appeared before him, he felt a strong gut feeling. Let's put it that way.
Like, right? He knew where they were from.
Yeah. He's like, oh, these are very important people. Like, I need to get down on the ground. And I think the reason why is because Lot is not necessarily a righteous dude. He's a pretty bad dude. I mean, he chose to live in Sodom, the city, the dark place, when he had, Avram said, choose whatever land you want. And he took the best land of the fields where they were, and he still chose to live in the city. So he likes the city life. He likes the financial gain from the city life and other stuff. But
now I'm understanding why Avraham was bartering with Yehovah.
Yeah, because
he doesn't want Lot to die. He's like, exactly. Lot's over there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
And he said, look, please, my masters, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet and rise early and go your way. And they said, no, but let us spend the night in the open square.
I just found a downside to the parallel.
Oh, God, what is it?
You can't pull up the notes to change the verse notes. Womp womp.
Oh, well, that's true. Why not? Okay, here. Where are we?
Verse 2.
Verse 2.
Yeah. You gotta, yeah.
Well, it's easier to switch between, like, neck and just hit Bible and then hit parallel.
Let me suggest something. Right click or whatever click you do for the alternative click, and then see if you can choose notes from there. Sorry, guys. This is a new format we're playing with.
No.
No option? Okay. All right, move on. Sorry.
It's okay. But I've figured out how to go get it
And
easy.
this is servant also. This is the Eved. We talked about that on a previous episode where Abraham calls himself the Eved.
Which word is that? Translate, albeit your servants.
Yeah, the one above it. There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crushed together with the formatting, but yeah, the Hebrew and then the number and then the next line starts the English.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
All right. But he urged them strongly, and they turned into him and came into his house, and he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every part surrounded the house.
Okay. Yeah. So that is
So everybody was around
yeah, they're like
Lot's house,
they're
surrounded his
surrounding-
house.
Yeah, they're surrounding his house. Why? Because there's strangers in the town, and they have a way of dealing with strangers. And it doesn't get specific, but like you can, and people have interpreted that they're trying to have their physical way with them. But that's going to come up in a little bit here. But it says this word around is like the same word for dizzy. And like so they're spiraling around the house, right?
Okay.
So it's not just around, because there is a Hebrew word for surround, but this one is saying like dizzy, like they're like spiraling around, you know. And then let's see, both young and old is the old is Zaken, which means bearded or elder, and the young is the young one or youngling. And you're not going to see it there because if you go, in the English, if you go back to the elder one that you were looking at.
Oh, which one? The one I was just at?
Yeah, for elder, Zaken. Yep, that one. Yeah. So at 2205, change that to 2204. So it's spelled the same way, but they define the word different.
Old
Okay,
aged
so there's
man.
another one. Hold on one second. Let me get it up here myself, and I'll find exactly which one it is here. So this is a thing that I do. I find not just the word that pops up as Zaken, but I also find out, okay, well, what other words are spelled Zaken? And you'll see that elder and beard are the same word. So let me do my list here. And I'm looking at another screen. So if you're wondering why I'm leaning out, I'm looking behind my laptop. All right. But I can scroll through them quickly. Okay, so the next one, 2206, and 2207, and 2208. So all of those are all Zaken, but the one for beard is 2206.
Yeah, they are all the same word. Okay, cool.
Yep. This is the kind of stuff that you have to like look at the root. But if you go to the ancient Hebrew, you're going to see them like all together in one spot, right? Because it's all based on the same root word.
Okay. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us and let us know them." Why is
There it is.
no in quotes?
Because it's the biblical no.
To know properly. In a great variety of senses.
Yeah, in this specific sense, it's, like Adam knew Eve, right? And they brought forth Cain and Abel.
Okay.
But it does but it does have a general sense. So know can actually mean insight, right? So that kind of know as well, because even the word can be translated as to see, like to have a vision, right? Like the one you're looking at right there, see, knowledge, on the L. And then to know why, right? They're all different terms of knowing. But in this sense, it's most likely in the physical sense.
All right.
It's kind of like, if you think about it this way, it's kind of like prison rules.
Be acquainted with. So it looks like they're like, okay, these are strangers, and they're like, well, we want to know them, so they're not strangers, is what I'm getting from it. Like, we want to know them. Who is that? Or they want to know who they are, what their purpose is here, like everything.
Well, that's the thing, is like, this knowing appears to be as in we want to, have our physical way with them to know them. Like, yes, it could be just know them, but if you read it in the context, it's like he's like, well, we'll read it. We'll read further.
Okay.
Because you'll see, like in the next verse and two, it's going to say like you're thinking to do evil, right?
Okay.
And that's why I said it's kind of like prison rules. Like someone new to the prison, and they're like, ooh, fresh meat.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I see. Okay, so Lot went out to them through the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, please, my brothers, do not do evil.
So there you go. And evil is what now?
Evil is... What do you mean evil is what? Bad? Not functioning? Out
There
of
you
function?
Go. There you go. Dysfunctional, not functioning, right? Because Tov is functioning and Ra'ah is dysfunction or not functioning.
All right. Look, please, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you wish. Only do no deed to these men, because they have come under the shadow of my roof.
Right.
Wow, so he's giving up his daughters so they don't hurt these men?
Yeah, so...
To the mob?
This is like a first cue to me that maybe Lot isn't such a good dude. I'm just saying, though. And then the roof is actually a beam. So under my beams, the beam's my roof. So, it says that I have 2 daughters who haven't known a man, and that's in the physical sense.
Well, right, obviously, because they know men because they know their dad.
Right. Right. They know men exist.
Right.
So, you can see kind of the influence of going on here. And he's like, well, there's obviously something very important to these dudes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bowed down to them. And then now he's like, they're so important that I would sacrifice my daughter for them, which you're going to find out that these dudes are not okay with that idea.
But they said, stand back. And they said, this one came into sojourn, and should he always judge? Now we are going to treat you worse than them. So they pressed down hard against the man Lot and came near to break down the door.
Yeah, so they're not...
They take him into custody. Sounds like they grab him, right?
They're trying to, yeah. Yeah, they're like, stand back. Like, stay distance. And that's the funny thing. It's like, how is he judging, right? Like, you don't get the context of where the judging comes in, but it's kind of like you're letting these men make the decision of whether or not they come out. Who are they to judge is basically what they're saying here. And so they're like, okay, we're going to get them one way or another is what's happening here. And break down the door is a good translation, yeah.
Right. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. Then they...
So which men are these? These are the messengers.
These are the messengers? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because these are the guys in the house.
And
they're like, you don't see the discussion that's happening here, but I'm pretty sure they said something to Lot about it. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like,
Right? Like, you dum-dum. Okay.
yeah.
Then they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, and they wearied themselves to find the door.
And it specifically says they palm them. In other words, they put out their palm and they were struck with blindness. It wasn't that they actually struck them, because the typical sense is like, hit
Right.
somebody. But it literally says they palmed them and they were struck with blindness.
So, wow. So they waved the hand.
Yep.
These are not the droids you were looking for.
Right. They were doing their Jedi move.
Exactly. And the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here, a son-in-law and your sons and your daughters and whomever you have in the city, bring them out of this place.
Yeah, so here it says, the in-law of marriage, the build descendants of you, the female build descendants of you, and all complete for you in the dark city, right? City and darkness, same word. Purpose out from what type of this place. Okay. So he's saying anybody else related to you. Now, I've seen some articles based on this specific reference of Genesis 19 that he says that my daughters, I have these daughters who have not known a man, and they said that he's lying because he's going to go visit his sons-in-laws. But hello, he could have more than those daughters. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there are daughters who are married and daughters who are not in this reference. I'm just saying, though, there's this anti-Bible believers that are spiraling that it's inconsistent. No, it's possible that he has daughters who are not married and daughters who are.
Yeah.
All
right. For we are going to destroy this place, because the cry against them has grown great before the face of Jehovah, and Jehovah has sent us to destroy it.
Yeah, and destroy means to absolute corruption.
And Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters and said, get up, get out of this place, for Jehovah is going to destroy this city. But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be as one joking.
Right, so this is the term from play. So if you remember Sarah, laughing about becoming pregnant or having pleasure, this is that same word, to laugh. So laugh doesn't just mean to laugh, it means to laugh and to play, to joke, to jest, and even like if, can I say foreplay without sounding too vulgar? That's also the same word. Foreplay is also to play, to laugh. This word is zakak, which is, or tzakak, which is also yitzhak, yitzchak, which is Isaac. So Isaac, this word for Isaac is paralleled for these few chapters up until Isaac is born. So it's like poetically, it's like getting you ready for Isaac by putting that word out there again and again and again. Yitzhak, Yitzhak, Yitzhak. So it's like getting you ready for Isaac's appearance. It's very interesting how it's written.
Okay. And when morning dawned, the messengers urged Lot to hurry, saying, get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city.
Okay, so here the morning dawned is better than the KJV, but it literally is the dark pre-dawn.
So
right?
Before the sun is even seen.
Right. So
right
it's,
before.
Yeah, it's getting ready to dawn, like real soon. But yeah, it's like super early, before the break of dawn. And I understand, like, TS does a better job because it says the morning dawn, like it's as it's dawning. But the other one just said the morning.
Yeah.
So there is a difference there.
There is. It's a specific time in the morning. It's before you can be seen by
Right,
daylight. So he
exactly.
wants them to sneak
They're
out.
escaping.
He wants them to
exactly.
sneak away.
Exactly. They're not going in the light of the day, and this is before Boker, because Boker is the breaking of the light. So that's the light coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pre-Boker. It doesn't matter to some, but I like the specifics.
Well, I think it matters. Details matter.
Yeah, they're trying to get out in dark. They're not.
Right.
It's not like they're waiting for sunlight.
Right. And while he loitered, the men took hold of his hand and his wife's hand and the hands of his 2 daughters, Jehovah having compassion on him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city.
Okay, so this dude, Lot, was not even leaving. They had to grab him. They had to snatch him up. Like, you need to leave. You're not getting this. This place is going to be brought down, and he's taken his time. He's in love with his possessions.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, some of it is his family, right? He wants to take his brother or his sons-in-laws with him, his daughters with him, but he's taking too long.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why Abraham, was like, even if there's like 10 people, could you save them?
Because I guess he knows Lot pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. And his family.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you remember, the reason that they had to split up the land is because they said that they got too many and there was a dissension in the ranks, so to speak, where they were just not coalescing. And it seems as though Lot's tribe was all about materialism and stuff like that. So Abraham was like giving him a chance, like, okay, you take the better part of the field if you want, right? Here's the 2 different, sets of the land. You pick what you want, and he took the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed.
Right. And that's around the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So remember I was telling you there's a different word for surround or around. That right there, it actually doesn't say, oh no, Adonai, because he's not talking to Yehovah.
He's talking to the messengers.
To the 2 messengers. That's right.
Right. Okay, so that calamity overtake me and die. That
Yes.
unless, and then on over here it says evil. Unless
it
some
is.
evil.
Yeah, and it's not just overtake me. It's fasten itself to me. Unless evil fastens itself to me and I die. It is evil. It is that dysfunction.
Okay.
It is that Ra.
Okay. Look,
not
please. Look, please. This city is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. It is not a small matter, and let my life be saved. So he doesn't want to go to the wilderness. He wants to go to another city.
Exactly. This dude has a pattern of stupidity here. So, and it's not just his life now. This is the nefesh. This is his life source, right? His unseen existence, his soul, if you want to say it like that, right? And the reason that small is repeated here is because later, when the people of the city get wiped out, it's called the city small. It's called the name of the city is called Small. So that's why small is repeated here twice. Let me go to the city that's small. It's not small for me. Is basically what he's saying.
Right.
And the creator sent these messengers, and they're like, "Dude, you need to get out of here." And he's like, "Nah, I'll stick around." Like,
I'm just gonna go over here to the next town over.
Everybody talks about this story, how Lot's wife is evil, which we're gonna get to that, but they never point out that Lot is like fighting tooth and nail the whole way. Like, I need my city. I have to have my city. Give me a different city if I can't have this city. It's ridiculous.
And he said to him, "Look, I have favored you concerning this matter also, without overthrowing this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I am not able to do any deed until you arrive there." So the name of the city was called Soar.
Which means small.
Does it? Let me see. Place east of Jordan.
From?
From small.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, that's why it says therefore. So you got to wonder what's therefore, right? Therefore, the name. And I'm talking about in the King James version, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one says so the name, but in King James version it says therefore, the name of the city was called Soar.
Okay. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Soar. And Yehovah rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Amorah from Yehovah out of the heavens.
And this is translated as brimstone, but okay, so I got to tell people this. There was a friend of mine that did a tour of Israel, and he visited the location of Sodom and Amorah. To this day, they're standing right angle building shapes made of complete sulfur and ash. They still exist to this day. And you can find these chunks, like some of them as big as your head, these chunks of sulfur, and they say it's the purest sulfur on earth. And when you burn it, it turns into this black sticky tar, and it has such a noxious smell that it will literally knock you out. So imagine a bunch of these things being rained down, these giant tar-like sulfuric noxious gas,
that sounds
rods.
horrible.
Yeah, but the positive side of it is they most likely got knocked out by the fumes, and so they didn't suffer as much. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it seems as though the noxious fumes is part of the mercy. Like, I'm going to knock your ass out and then burn you up.
Yeah, I remember you had a piece of that here, and we burned it on the porch. And
Yep.
even outside in the open on the porch,
It smelled bad.
it was like, we were like,
Yeah. So imagine the whole sky was filled with nothing but that. So they were knocked out previous to being burnt to death. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that we did that at your place. But this stuff, there was a guy who showed you how volatile this stuff is, where he put a piece of it. Now, it was a pretty, golf-sized piece, but he burnt it on a piece of glass, and it burnt through the glass. That's how much it heats up. And the flame is blue. It's it's very cool. It's not cool, but just in the science form of it, it's really cool.
Actually, I have it. Should I play it for people?
Oh, you have a video of it?
That video, yeah.
Cool.
That we did. Hold on. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. But
Yeah,
A friend of mine.
So the testimony of this incident happening still exists in the desert to today. And it's north of the Dead Sea. And assumedly, this is what even science says, the Dead Sea didn't used to be salty, but then all of a sudden something happened to where it became salty, the Dead Sea. And these cities, when these live forces were consumed, they turned to salt, and the wild deer of the area lick the ground out there because, they like the salt lick. And it's most likely leftover remains from the lives of these cities. Very interesting stuff.
that is crazy. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can
A
bring
little
it up.
creepy, but it's just more validation. Yeah, y'all should check out the real Sodom and Amorah. And it's not Gomorrah, it's Amorah.
Hold on, it's going in the wrong video, dang it. Hold on.
Womp womp.
I have to add a thing. Hold on one sec, you guys. I really want everybody to see this since we talked about it, because that stuff is gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a shopping bag full of
Here we go.
brimstone that was a quarter size.
Okay, I'm gonna play it. This is us. This is Jack and I burning, and you can see it's on a pie plate, and it's a little tiny piece, but you'll hear us.
I'm probably not going to be able to see it.
You'll have to look
but-
on the stream.
Yeah. 20 seconds
All right.
from now.
It's only a short video. It's only a few
went
minutes.
over to the Middle East, Israel, and he got a lot of chunks of what is assumed to be the fire and brimstone story of Scripture.
Are you playing
That
sound
this
as
would
well?
be the
I don't know.
brimstone. It cooks very hot, and it has a noxious gas that will make anyone who's breathing it in pass out. And it's been tested by scientists. This substance
Yeah,
that's
there's
all
some
over
bigger chunks.
that
I'm 20
area,
seconds behind
and they
everybody
say
else,
that
I'm
it's
sure.
the highest
Oh, no,
concentration
because that would be
of
what they're
natural
actually
salt.
saying.
Jack,
right now.
stop
on
talking
Earth.
over the video.
And
Oh, I didn't know there was sound.
you know, I've heard it explained, and I think it's a pretty good idea that the reason that it gives off this noxious gas is because when he was putting judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah, which is actually Sodom and Gomorrah, that he was having mercy on them, that they were to be knocked out rather than feel them burning to death. And it will turn to a black goo, which makes it attached to whatever it touches when it's on fire. And then it will,
Should I turn the light on?
it'll stay lit until it's fully consumed. Yeah, you can turn the light off. Oh, I almost got some in my nose.
Yeah, back up.
As you can see, it's got this very cool blue and purple flame. I can't share the smell with you, but it's a really bad smell. Burns the nose, burns the eyes.
Ooh, it does smell. Ugh. It smells like
And
sulfur.
like I said, it turns into a black goo, and it will stick to whatever it attaches itself to until it's fully consumed. So it'll burn for a long time, the larger stones. And some of the stones are as large as a human head out there that are still existing. And you can actually see the shapes of completely ashed buildings and over that desert. And
This is just a tiny piece, and it freaking stinks.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Oh god, dang, man.
There's no wind to blow it away either. That's a lot. That's a lot. Sorry.
Should I turn the fan on?
Yeah, that would help. That would help. Sorry, folks. So yeah, there's large salt deposits.
You don't want to bring that in.
There's large salt deposits out in that area as well. And if you know anything about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot's wife turned back and turned into a pillar of salt. And supposedly the Dead Sea did not used to be a Dead Sea, but the salt may have actually flowed down from Sodom and Gomorrah.
God dang, that little tiny piece stuck up this whole area.
And we're outside. It's not enclosed out here. We're
Jesus
fully outside.
Lord. That was awful.
Oh, it's bad.
God dang,
God.
man.
Sorry. I thought since it was such a small piece, it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be that bad either. God, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh, I can't sit here. So there you go. That is how toxic that stuff is. Sorry, that was kind of a little sidetrack thing, but my goodness. We were outside, we were on the porch, and you can hear us coughing
Yes.
while we were
And-
doing that little tiny piece.
And I find it funny. I was saying in the chat, like, man, we should have just played the video. Everything I just explained, exactly. Like, all the things I just explained was
I
in
know.
that video.
I forgot
And
I
it's
had
because-
that video, and then I was like, oh yeah, because we did that a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah. But, dude, that just validates me. Like, I know that story so well.
Hmm.
That's how I explain it every time. And it's because it's something that, like, even though it's a negative aspect of the creator's judgment, it's still a testimony. It's something that verifies that there's something to these narratives in the Torah. And there's tons of stuff like this. When you look into the physical evidences of the Exodus, it'll blow your mind. Like, man, I was crying, laughing, listening to us coughing.
Yeah.
And Doc Michael said that he would sell it on the street. Like, yeah, man, that'll really mess you up, man. Like, you want to get messed up, that'll mess you up for sure.
It was bad. Just that little bit. And we were outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely do it in a well ventilated area. And I still have quite a bit of it left. So maybe I'll do another video where I use a bigger chunk and try to let it burn through something so you can see how hot it is. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. My wife kind of wants to preserve as much of it as we can as, like, a living testimony. So
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
I don't necessarily have access to that area. But yeah, it's very interesting stuff, and that was our testimony of how toxic it was, because we were coughing like crazy outside.
I know. Look at, we probably almost killed ourselves, because look at
And it was-
Iron FE. He says, when sulfur burns, it produces sulfur dioxide, which turns into sulfurous acid when it comes into contact with water. That means it can be deadly if you breathe it into your very moist lungs.
There you go. There you go. So it'll knock your ass out. And excuse my language for those who are offended by the A word.
Yeah.
But that piece that I burnt was no bigger than my pinky tip. Like, that was a tiny, tiny piece.
Yeah.
And it burned for a while. I mean, it was, imagine a chunk the size of a head burning.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
That would, that will destroy a city. I could see that doing that.
Yeah. All right. So,
All right.
enough with the science part of it. Let's get back to scripture.
Okay. So he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground.
Right. So that is the where is it? Oh, I'm on the wrong verse. That's why. Okay. So that's the word sprout, right? So Genesis 1 talks about the earth sprouting things up. So it's all the things that are, sprouting from the ground. And ground is the Adamah, right? Because Adam comes from Adamah.
Right. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a post of salt.
That works for me. It's a decent translation.
That is so, as much as that part is talked about, that's really seems like sort of like uneventful, just kind of thrown in there.
Right.
That she became a post of salt. Like, I thought there was more to it than that. Does it still talk about it after?
No, but they always make sure that that's put in the movies and stuff, right?
Right.
Where, like, it's a big epic event, like she's looking back and you see her slowly turning to salt from her toes up to her head or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it happened, dude. It was like a flash burn, right? It's kind of like how they portray the nuclear blast thing, where someone's standing there and then poof, they're just a standing ash, like you can still see their form, but they're ash. Or like when they did the carpet bombing in Japan, where you can see the shadows of them on the walls and stuff like that. You're talking about these, this big downpour of raining sulfur that wiped them out. So she didn't, it's not just like she turned around and looked, is the way that the movies portray it. No, she didn't want to leave the city, and she burnt up.
I was wondering, but then it says, like here it says, under that word, right, ha-ya, it says, break, cause, come to pass, continue, faint, fall, follow. Did she fall?
No.
Was it an accident?
Haya means to exist. So that's the word become.
Okay.
So it came to pass, it became, she existed as.
Okay.
So it's the same as the meaning of the Creator's name, Haya Hoveh Yihye, which is that which does exist, did exist, will exist. So it's existence. So she existed a pillar of salt. And
Okay.
then look back, right? It's not just look, but it's also to
So I'm saying I don't think she just
expectation.
looked. It doesn't
No,
make sense that she just looked and
Yeah,
turned to a pillar of salt.
it says she looked for or expected. So in other words, she probably was like went back to try to get her stuff. She was looking for it, right? It's not that she just looked at it and then, like her husband was 6 inches away from her. She got burnt up, but he was fine because she turned around. That's like tilting the earth 23 degrees makes it a different, weather. It's like that. No, that's not what happened. She turned back. She was trying to go back. And it also says that she looked back from behind him. But if you look at it from the way they show it in the movie, like she was literally like inches behind him. She turned around. She turned to a pillar of salt, and he was fine.
Right.
That's totally not what happened here.
That doesn't make any
logic
sense.
dictates,
Yeah, it's absolutely. This is nothing like what I ever saw this story to be. That
Right.
part of it, anyway. Like nothing.
And you can see that her husband was about to do the same. Like, they literally had to drag him out of the city.
Right.
He was not a good dude. I'm just saying, though. People don't like when I talk about Bible characters and say they're not a good person.
I don't know why. I mean, it's not. Why is that
Humans
not
are-
possible?
Humans are humans. I'm
Right.
just saying, though.
Right. Okay. And Avraham arose early in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before Yehovah.
And rising early in the morning is to shoulder. So when you put your bag on your shoulder and you're ready to go.
Okay. And he looked toward Sodom and Amorah, and toward all the land of the plain, and he looked and saw the smoke of the land which went up like the smoke of a furnace.
Did he turn to salt?
No, he did not.
Did he look?
He did.
So.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. How come he got to look?
Right?
This is a different look, though. This is not a turning back to expect or look to expect.
Right.
This is a lookout or window. It's the same word for window. You're just looking over the situation. You're not expecting anything. You're just turning around and looking.
Mhm.
And it says, and he sees and looking here, or behold, rising a burning incense or smoke, the arets, like the burning incense smoke of a furnace. So, yeah, he turned around and he looked. He didn't turn to a pillar of salt. Context, people. This helps.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thus it came to be, when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim remembered Avraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt.
Now, this word, the plain, that's not the word plain at all. And what did they say in their version?
In the other it says cities.
Cities of the plain.
Cities of the plain. Okay, so
Yeah,
what
and
is
it's
it here?
it's not plain. It's the round.
A circle.
Right. Right. It's everything around the mountains, like all the cities around the mountains. So this is not the plain. The plain didn't burn up, but the cities did that were all around.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that word that I said that they could have used for surround, but they used dizzying instead.
Yeah.
So I know it doesn't matter to some people, but to me it does. It gives you a better picture. Like, you look that way, and you look that way, and you look that way, and all you see is burning cities. They're all around.
Mm-hmm.
So there was actually 5 cities that burnt, not just 2. But that's not spoken of here. It's spoken of in later verses, speaking back. So though the Sodom and Gomorrah were the main cities, the big cities, but there were also smaller cities, like the one he wanted to go to.
Right. Okay. And Lot went up out of Soar and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Soar, and he and his 2 daughters dwelt in a cave.
Now, why was he afraid to dwell in Soar?
Because Yehovah told him that he was going to destroy it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like all of a sudden he's like, oh man, the conviction's so strong, right? That's the way I would put it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's feeling so guilty, like not listening to the messengers in the first place, that he's like, I got to get out of here, man. I'm going to die here.
All right. And Lot went up out of Soar and dwelt in the mountains. Oh, I already said that.
Yep.
And dwelt
Next
in the
one.
cave. And the firstborn said to the younger,
It's going to get weird. Just
Our
giving you a heads up.
father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come into us, as is the way of all the earth. What?
Okay, so this is the firstborn is the first fruit feminine, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is the small daughter, which is Soar again.
Mm-hmm.
So the same word for the city. Hold on one second. I have a small daughter coming in my room right now.
Into the younger. Yeah, okay, yeah, small. Soar. Into the younger, our father.
Yes, I don't make these things up.
Okay. I know, I'm
back.
just showing it so everybody else can see it too.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I want you to do.
Just so you know we're not making stuff up.
That's right. Yep, it's the first fruit and the smallest one. So his daughters who are married were the middle daughters.
Okay. I don't get this part. There is no man on the earth to come into us, as is the way of the earth.
Yeah, so the way, this is just Jack's perspective, okay? The way that I see this to be, imagine you go up to the mountains and you look around and every city is being burnt. You think the end of the world has happened.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
Look at it from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They only knew the city. That's their whole life. Then they go out to the mountains and they see every city in their sight being burnt up.
Okay. Come, let us make our father drink wine and lie with him so that we preserve the seed of our father. Oh boy.
Yep, I told you it's going to get weird.
That is
and
weird.
by the way, that's got to make you wonder how Lot raised his daughters.
Right? Well, he
Right?
was
That
about
they
to
would even
pimp them
consider.
out to the town.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, people get mad at me when I say Lot was not a good dude, but everything tells me that he's not a good dude. And then his descendants later become the enemies of Israel. Because, imagine being born of a daughter and father, right? And you grow up knowing that's your lineage. And the depravity of that, of those children become a major problem later, which we're going to read, definitely in the next few chapters here.
Okay. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she arose. So they got him blacked out drunk.
Yep.
And
so this is the older one, the firstborn.
And it came to be on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, See, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight as well, and you go in and lie with him, so that we keep the seed of our father.
Okay, so let me give you something else from these two verses, 33 and 34.
Mm-hmm.
If you look up yesterday, tomorrow, tonight, all these things are very important to understand what a day is, right? So the Jews will tell you that a day starts at sunset, but these verses debunk that. Because when she talks about tomorrow and yesterday and all these other things, they only work if the night is part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it's day to night in this context.
Okay.
unless she's like making a 3-day gap. Like she slept with him, waited for a day to talk to her sister, and then she says, wait another day to sleep with her father.
Mhm.
Right? But that's not so. Like,
Right.
I mean, I can't see it as so.
Yeah.
But this is the first verse in the scriptures that debunks the evening beginning of the day.
Okay.
It's just the first verse contextually.
All right.
Besides Genesis 1 that says light he called Yom and darkness he called Lila. So
All right. So they made their father drink wine that night as well, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she arose.
and that's a small one.
Yeah. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father.
What?
That's crazy. And the first...
And pregnant again is the same word as mountain or hill.
Right.
But it says and they mountain, the two of them, with descendants to Lot from father of them. So they mountain.
Right. Okay. And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day.
Right, so this later becomes an enemy. But Moab is literally from his father. It literally means from his father. From his father. Excuse me.
Okay. And the younger, she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami, and he is the father of the children of Ammon to this day.
And Ben-Ami means descendants of my people, and its short form, Ammon, means the little people.
The little people?
Yep, because remember, she's the small,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gave birth to him, and then Ammon, the on on the end of Ammon, means diminutive, the smaller form of the the people. So you could just say the little people.
Mm-hmm.
You speculate what you want out of that, but that's how it appears. And when Ben-Ami, being the descendant of my people, it also alludes to the fact, like, we kept it in the family. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they sure did.
I'm just saying, though. Little creepy there. But
it is creepy.
That's the origins. You know, that's the thing that, you know, we talked about this before, where we look at the generations, you know, this one begot that one begot that one, and it seems kind of boring and tedious. But then when you see these names appear again, you can see where they got to where they're at, why they became an issue or why they became a blessing or whatever the case may be. Like the Mitzrayim is actually a descendant of Ham. So you can actually see like the lineage going to where Mitzrayim, aka Egypt, became a problem with the whole curse being put on Canaan and everything.
Okay. All right. That's the end of
And we have chapter 20 now.
chapter 20.
I got 2 chapters done. Woo!
All right. And Abraham set out from there to the land of the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar.
Very good.
And Abraham said concerning Sarah, his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, sovereign of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. So he's telling people that's his sister again.
Yep, and it's Avimelech.
Avimelech?
Yep, very good.
Okay.
Yep, he's doing it again. And later, well, we'll see. But basically, he prompted Sarah to always say that she's his sister, no matter who they run into.
Okay. Oh, I see in the chat it's somebody's birthday. Happy birthday, Kurt.
Happy birthday.
All right. But Elohim came to Avimelech
Yep.
in a dream by night and said to him, See, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. Whoa.
Yep, and this is not just a man's wife. She is a master of her master, is what it actually says, or lord of her lord.
What does that mean? What do you mean, Lord of her Lord?
Remember back in the day when they made a covenant with Abraham and they said they're going to give him a lordship, like a masterhood? So she is the female lord of the Lord.
Okay.
So she's a female lord of Abraham the Lord.
Okay.
Right?
She's like,
And I do mean,
they call them lords
lord.
and ladies, but it's like,
yes.
So she's the
like
woman.
that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. She's the lady of the Lord Abraham.
Okay.
And it means that as like, like landlord.
However, Avimelech had not come near her, and he said, Yehovah, would you kill a righteous nation also?
So not seeing Yehovah in this. This is Adonai again.
Adonai. So who's he talking? So he's talking to. Wait a minute.
He's talking to Yehovah.
He's talking to Yehovah, but he doesn't know it.
Right.
So it's like he's talking to a messenger.
My master, whoever it is that's speaking to me in a dream by night.
Okay.
Right. But it says it's Elohim, right? Mm-hmm. That comes to Avimelech.
Yeah.
Now Avimelech was probably doing, he probably had a lot of deities. He's not like, Abraham was the first one to set apart that says only one deity, and that's the creator. Mm-hmm. Avimelech had multiple deities, so when he hears a message from a deity, he doesn't necessarily know which one. So it just says, my Lord. But again, this is where they take the liberties of translation. If you go to like the HSB or the KJV, it's a capital L, lowercase O-R-D.
Mm-hmm. All right. Where was I?
20 verse 5.
Oh, the righteous nation. Oh, okay. Did he not say to me, she is my sister, and she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocence of my hands, I have done this. So he's like saying, I didn't know, right?
Yep.
They lied to me. I didn't know.
Yep. And this integrity is like the perfect or wholeness of my heart.
Okay.
And heart is what?
Heart is, I don't know.
Intent.
I don't remember.
Intent.
Okay.
Right. It's not the muscle pumping blood.
Right.
It is yes, it is, but that's where they say the intent comes from.
Right. Which is where you feel stuff when you feel emotions anyway. You feel it in that area.
Like heartache, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Elohim said to him in a dream, yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, and so I kept you from sinning against me. For this reason, I did not let you touch her.
So he's giving him a heads up.
And now,
like if you continue this path, you're going to die.
Right. And now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and let him pray for you, and you live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die, you and all that are yours.
All right, so this is Jack's perspective on this incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she gets taken, and Abraham is like, kill him so I can get my wife back. and the creator's like, dude, there's somebody that's asking me to kill you because you have his wife. So you should probably make sure that she gets back to him as soon as possible, so that I don't have to kill you. And
especially
I'm gonna allow Abraham to request for me not to kill you when you return his wife.
Right. So he's telling this guy, look, me and Abraham, we're tight.
Exactly.
And I was gonna take you out for him.
Exactly.
That's funny.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and spoke all these words in their hearing, and the men were greatly frightened. And Avimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? In what have I sinned against you, that you brought on me and on my reign a great sin? You have done matters to me that should not be done."
Yeah, what guilt do I have of you?
Right.
The guilt that has been magnified.
Like, what did I do to you?
Yeah, exactly.
And
then this is when it says Avimelech called Abraham. I don't think that he used a cell phone.
Right.
Now there's two things that could have happened here. Most likely he sent a messenger on his behalf, right? Like they come in the name of the king,
right.
Ergo they are the king.
Right.
The other method is that it was not by any physical means. Just saying, that's another possibility.
What are you saying? Like mind speak?
Well, yeah, maybe. I'm just saying, there's stuff, there's things,
Yeah.
We don't know everything.
Well,
and I've seen, I've had experiences where I've communicated without speaking, so I'm just saying, It's a possibility. Or maybe Antiquitech, who knows? Maybe he did have a cell phone. Who knows? We don't really have.
Could have used a telegraph.
Right. Right. So, I mean, we have no idea really how Avimelech was speaking to Abraham.
Right.
And yes, it is a lot of speculation, folks. But I'm saying it's not a horrible matter to entertain these ideas when we found out so much we've been lied to.
Exactly.
And how much information they had and how smart they were with their buildings and their perfect by laser testing flat walls. I mean, it's insanity when you see how much ability they had. So maybe this is an instance, he can obviously hear from the creator, so he's obviously tapped into something. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay. And Avimelech said to Abraham, "What did you have in view that you have done this matter?"
Yeah, and that's a very it's a very confusing translation, and I think they did their best, but it's and he speak Avimelech toward Abraham, "What see of you? Because do make of you do action to the word this." Like what did you see to make this word is basically what it says. That's what I would have put.
So he's like, what are you seeing? Like, where are you coming from?
Yeah, to make this word. And this word is because what? He was praying against Avimelech. So his word was putting a death sentence on him.
Okay. And Abraham said, "Only because I said to myself, the fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they shall kill me for the sake of my wife."
The production of being thrown back for Elohim is not in this place, and they will trample and kill me on this word of my wife.
So it was just another place where he knew that they would kill him to take her.
Yeah, he knows the pattern of the cities.
Right.
I mean, look at what happened in Lot's situation. There's always this new people, haha, fresh meat. And because of how blessed Abraham was, his wife probably was ordained with gold to the max. Like, she was probably pretty done up,
Okay. And yet she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife.
Right.
And it came to be when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house that I said to her, "This is your loving commitment that you should do for me. In every place, wherever we go, say of me, he is my brother."
So this is an agreement that they have ahead of time. Like, if somebody tries to take you, rather than them kill you because you're my wife, say you're my sister, and then this has happened twice now. So now he's like, well, I got it in tight with the Creator, so I'll just say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, my wife's been taken, take them out.
Right. Then Avimelech took sheep and cattle and male and female servants and gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah, his wife, to him.
Right.
And Abimelech said, "See, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it is good in your eyes."
So he has just been made a lord over more land again.
Right.
You see how he's getting all this land. Like, it happened with his enemies that he saved from Sodom and Gomorrah. It happened with oh my gosh, I forget the family's name now. But anyways, it's happened on a few occasions now where he gets more income and more property, and it's based on a half-truth
Mm-hmm.
that she's his sister. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Then Avimelech took the sheep. Okay, so that. Then Avimelech said, "See, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it is good in your eyes." And Sarah, he said, "See, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. See, it is to you a covering of eyes before all who are with you and before all others, and you are cleared before everyone."
So not only am I letting you go, but I'm paying
Paying you to look the other way.
yeah, basically.
Paying you to
It's kinda-
forget.
It's kind of like the price of a wife, even. But he must find her quite valuable to send 1,000 pieces. Like, yeah, it's definitely like look the other way,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Right, because he doesn't want to get killed and everybody around him killed.
And the period of time that this happens, if you just read it, you may think, oh, this happened in like one day. But if you read it in everything that happened, this happened over a period of time to where, well, you're going to read it here in a second, but they started realizing that nobody was getting pregnant even because of this whole situation.
Okay. And Avraham prayed to Elohim, and Elohim healed Avimelech and his wife and his female servants, so they bore children.
And this is the word, the female servants is also the same Hebrew word for the mothering of his. So this is a nanny. It's not necessarily female servants. Like, these are the girls who take care of the babies of the king, Avimelech.
Okay. For Yehovah had closed up all the wombs of the house of Avimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Right.
Wife. Well, I don't understand that. Why?
Do you want me to justify it, or?
Well, no. Okay.
My
Has this
perspective,
character come up before? This Avimelech person?
No.
So I'm just
this
understanding.
is when Abraham's going into a new land, right? So he's traveling.
Uh-huh.
And as he's traveling, he's getting more land. Because if you remember the Creator's blessing on Abraham, that he would inherit the land.
Okay.
And then, so this is how, he didn't stay in one place for very long before he moved to another place and another place and another place. And then when he has to deal with the neighboring cities and the way that they do, like culturally, they don't want foreigners in the land. So they would, just like any other war, rape and pillage and all those other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a pattern that he does. And this, like I said, this happened over a period of time. Imagine just, for the sake of perspective, right? Avimelech, being a king, probably had a fleet of horse riders,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is not like, once his wife was taken, he just walked a couple of yards across the yard and got his wife back, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably a distance away to where Abraham, like, I don't know where they are, I don't know what they're doing, and he's just praying to the Creator, like, you need to wipe these people out. They took my wife. And over that period of time, the creator's like telling Avimelech, like, you need to get a hold of Abraham, who talks with me on the regular, and you need to get on his good side. And so when he does this, then it appears that there was a curse put on his house to where the women couldn't bear children. But for me, it's like, if he was to wipe out Avimelech, right? Because he had a choice. And people think, there's some people who believe that we don't have a choice. We already are predestined for blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
But I see it in scriptures as there's always a choice. And
Right.
had Avimelech not given over to Abraham, then that would have meant not only he would have been destroyed, but a whole nother generation of children that were born during that time would have been destroyed. So the father stopped up their wombs, so to speak, so that there was no more casualties. So to speak.
Okay.
That's my perspective on it. I mean, that's not, it doesn't say that specifically, but that's the way that I visualize it. Let's put it that way.
So, okay. Well, I'm kind of thinking now that maybe it's like Yehovah did that while Sarah was with Avimelech,
Yes.
to keep him from touching her.
Exactly.
He just
yes.
shut down everybody's libido.
Yep. Yep.
He said, nobody wants to make whoopee.
That's right. That's how I see it as well. Exactly.
Okay.
And by that, he's sparing future lives as well. Now, when Avimelech repented, which means not saying he's sorry, but when he turned back from his plan, then he was blessed.
Yeah.
Then his family was having babies again, so it's a different concept from, Western mentality and all this jazz, but I got to tell you, it seems to me like, even though Avimelech may not have been a Jehovah only worshiper, it seems like Avimelech still had some kind of a connection to Jehovah, to where he was trying to spare him.
Mm-hmm.
That he warned him, like, I have mercy on you. I see that you're innocent. I see that you're a good dude, so to speak. And so, I'm trying to spare you. Talk to my servant Abraham, and he'll pray, and I'll listen, because we got that connection, right? We're tight like that. So, I mean, and that's what I think. In this case, I would say that Avram is of Elohim, so he's part of Elohim, because he's fully connected with the Creator.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes, I agreed. Fired for truth. The incremental consequences kept trying to get Pharaoh to change his mind, but he knew he wouldn't. But he gave him a chance anyway.
It's like, I'm gonna give you to the count of 3.
Exactly.
Robert Owens says, why did they deceive Avimelech and say he was a sister? He did that because there's previous stories where they go into these cities where everybody is basically having delinquent behavior, and they're bad.
Yeah, they're bad dudes.
So when he goes to these cities, he tells them that his wife is actually his sister, so that they don't try to kill him to take his wife.
Yeah, and if you go back, Robert, to previous episodes, this is not the first time he's done it.
Yeah.
This is the second time he's done it. He did the same thing in Egypt. And the thing is like, again, it's a cultural disconnect that we don't understand these things. But if you go over to some, even some places in the Middle East, like if you are traveling through and you're not part of the group, bad stuff's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And you see that definitely when there's big wars going on, right? Even though this side says we're the good guys and the other guys say we're the good guys, when it comes to war, all of a sudden all bets are off. People are pillaging and raping and killing, and not just killing other soldiers, but killing innocents, right?
Right.
And that's just a fuller extension of the whole city mentality. And if you don't want to think about it in physical terms, you can think about it in mental and spiritual terms. In cities, it is a dog eat dog scenario, right? I need to get mine.
Yeah.
All these people are my enemies. They're
Rat race. It's
yeah,
very rat racy. That's why I don't like living in cities anymore.
and when I was part of a company, and some people may recognize it by the description of it, but I was working for this company that your family are your customers, right? Everybody's a customer. And if they don't purchase from you, then they're stealing food out of your children's mouths. That's how you should look at it. And that's like an insanity. Like, if you don't give me mine, then you're going to get yours. You know, it's horrible, but that's a lot of how the materialistic world works.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was more intensified back then because they didn't have the same kind of structure as we do today. But, you know, they're turning, you know, evil into good in the current structure. It's getting that way anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, justified theft, justified sexual immorality, justified, you know.
Well, we see
murder.
all kinds of things that are bad being called good and good things being called bad.
Exactly.
There's almost a complete inversion.
Exactly. And I figured this out way back in 2012, where I talked about the ideals of this culture, this United States Western mentality culture. And when I look at the scriptures, it looks like the entire culture is built anti-creator. Like, how can we just slowly loophole things in to where, you know, good is evil and evil is good? And of course, these last couple of years, everybody can see it now because they're like being very open about it. They're like, we're going to screw you over big time. You know? Yeah, we don't talk about the future stuff in this stream, but if you want a specific question answered, you can email me, justjackflatearth@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid talking about New Testament stuff, even though we have paralleled some New Testament stuff in here.
We do go there every now and then to look.
Alner Lycurgus says, Umim and Thummim is interesting. This is truly Antiquitech. Yeah, I don't throw that idea out. I mean, it's like, for instance, casting lots, right? Like today we would be like throwing dice, right? But they used to use casting lots to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was accurate. So
Yep.
oh, you have a thunderstorm, Cammie? It's not raining here. She's only half an hour away from me.
I know. You should be getting dumped on too, but you know, that's how it is here. I've literally been standing in rain and looking at an area where there is no rain across the street. Like, it's bizarre how rain works around here.
Yeah. I've seen it where it's like raining across the street, and I'm just sitting there looking at it.
Or it'll rain and the sun is out. It'll be like sunny and there's rain coming down.
Yeah.
Where's it coming from?
the whole idea of rain itself is a mystery to me. It's a true mystery to me.
It is
so the cloud gets heavy with water vapor changing into water, but how come it just doesn't dump all the water at once? How come it's always like drop, 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 drop? Why isn't it just like goosh and then cloud gone? Ever. It's never like that.
Although if it was like that, that would be bad.
Finally, that is saying the same thing. I am finally someone that is saying the same thing. I am Lord equals Jehovah or YHVH and God, Elohim, God. Yeah, so the problem with God is there's a prosperity deity named God, and it's 1408 to 1410, I believe it is.
Where it doesn't. Up?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it's 1408, age 1408. Yep, there it is. God, the
God.
fortune, Babylonian deity, and they go to 1409. Yeah, fortune.
Mm-hmm.
There's
God.
a pronunciation, God, right there. Yeah. And then it tells you that it's root from 1464. So go ahead and click on that 1464 link.
1464.
Yeah, it says from 1464.
Good. A primitive root. To crowd
Right.
upon this, that is, attack, invade, overcome.
Yeah, because it's a lot. It's a lot. All right. I'm scanning through the chat.
Yeah. See if there's any. You guys have any questions about all this stuff we just went over before we wrap it up?
Father's compassion saved him. He did not deserve saving. Yeah. I mean, we don't know all the details, but he was definitely giving him favor. I don't know if he was speaking of Avimelech or Lot, but yeah, if he was speaking of Lot, definitely he didn't deserve it. And it was compassion for Abraham. It wasn't compassion for Lot, you know. Because remember, it was Abraham that was begging. If there's even like 10 people.
Thank you for the super chat, Ammo Walk. Cheers. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
thank you.
Appreciate the support. Jack and I share all donations to the stream.
Appreciate it. Alrighty, I'm done scanning chat. So
All right.
if you want to wrap it up.
Are we good?
Love
Let me-
you all. Appreciate you all coming out and listening. And stick to your conviction, but always seek truth. You know,
Absolutely.
if you're not there yet, I'm not pushing it. Hopefully you'll see things as I do, just because I know how edifying it is, how powerful it is to see this unseen existence of Yehovah all around, to be able to connect with the Creator and not to a religion, not to a man, not to a government.
That's right. Absolutely. Cheers, any word. Thank you for the tip. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, you guys, I think that's it. That wraps up episode 11 of the Anti-Religious Scriptures study. Thank
Earth
you
is
all
still
for
flat.
Yes, the earth is still flat. Thank you for being here. Thanks for participating in chat and being with us every weekend, and appreciate it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.